food, so much types of food and types of meat there and seafood that I hadn't had before.
Hmm.
Um, all of it I enjoyed. Man, yeah. And meat pies, Jesus.
Please tell us about meat pies. I've had multiple people on the show talk about meat pies, and it's not something we get in America much, but random places you will go find some meat pies, but they're completely different over there, obviously. And so please
Yeah.
tell us about meat pies.
Dude, well, first of all, I avoided it because it sounded gross, right? I think of a pie, right? Cherry pie, right?
Right. Yeah.
Key lime
So
pie.
a meat, and it's like, ew, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Although growing up, I grew up kind of poor and we'd have the chicken pot pie,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right? And they're about the same size, mind you. Okay.
Okay.
But want a meat pie? I was like, no, that sounds like shit. And he'd always try to get me to have, okay, you're missing it. And we'd take our walk, like I'd say, right? Well, 2 years of this, and now COVID has hit, right?
Right.
So things are kind of shut a little bit. Of course, you had to keep your distance, but in the little gas stations, they still operated because they had the night box like a bank where they push it through the little
Oh, yeah, yeah,
silver.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. I'm not
Almost
doing
like
a good
a
job.
deposit, not like, yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, at a bank, you if you're
So, and the
dropping money
big
or sliding
deal, and
through
you
it, yeah.
say, hey, can I get a coffee and two donuts, whatever you want, and you put your money in, and they bring it out to you. So we're taking the walk, and I'm like, and we are going to come around and get our coffee, and I'm thinking, shit, I'm hungry. I really am hungry this morning. Want a meat pie? And I was like, "Out of hell with it. Give me a meat pie." And one bite into this mince and cheese, I'm like, oh my God. He's like, oh, I've been trying to tell you. And I was like, that's it.
Well,
So
so is it flaky like the chicken pot pie, or what is the kind of the outer?
more flaky.
Okay.
And then, yeah, it's like well, what is that? What is that? How would you describe the chicken pot pie, the shell of it? It's not a
Um,
pastry. It's just like
no,
a bread.
because the actual crust of it is a genuine pie crust, but then on top is a lot
Oh,
flakier, almost like a top
oh,
of
we
a
froze up.
apple pie or something,
What
but
the
not as
hell?
sweet, obviously. So maybe kind of
Oh shit, we froze. What
oh,
happened? Come on.
are you there? I mean, you froze as well.
Okay,
There
there
we
we
go.
go.
Okay.
Okay,
So, but the chicken pot pie, the crust of it is an actual like pie crust, and then the top is very flaky, but almost like an apple pie, but not as sweet, obviously.
yeah. You know what? And that might be more akin to what the whole crust of the because there's it's not a thick.
Right? It's not like a hot pocket.
No, it's not a hard crust, even like the bottom of a pie. It's
Right.
more of the top, soft.
Gotcha. All the way around.
Um, yeah, man, yeah. I don't know how to describe it. They're nice though.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's a place here
So
in town that sells them. I haven't had them yet, but I need to definitely make that happen to just
yeah,
to
and I
get a
have
feel.
these, and I think, man, they'd go gangbusters in the states. But then I
Yeah.
thought, you know what? I don't know. I don't know if the population would think it's too lowbrow or something, but maybe if you charged $12 for it instead of $4, the people would think it's something special and then go
Yeah.
crazy about it,
If you had it like a Michelin star restaurant, all of a sudden people would lose their minds.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, holy cow.
Okay. Yeah, because I definitely heard about meat pies before, so I wanted to hear more about these so I could definitely have something to
Yeah,
look forward to.
yeah.
Well,
So
what was it from home that you missed while you were over there? Besides obviously family and friends and
yeah,
that fun stuff.
um, man, I miss being on the road.
Ah, okay.
I traveled with Davey, and he had stopped wrestling and went into medical school about the last year or so, and he had that knee injury too, so he was out. He was out by 2016, and I started going back up to Canada. So my travel really started going crazy, and I missed Canada and those tours with the Canadian Wrestling's Elite because I was helping them build those up.
That's awesome.
Um, doing what I could just to help Danny organize and run those big tours. And then I missed the Oregon coast,
Right.
seaside, where I've loved. Um, but yeah, man, I miss being on the road.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just stationary, yes, you're in paradise, but at the same time, like you said, you're not traveling much because you get a school to run. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it because, eh, dude, I'm doing what I love. I'm
right.
the luckiest idiot on the world in the world, right? So I'm just doing that full time for 5 years. Woo.
Yeah. So I had read that you were trained by Billy Jack Haynes and Matt Bourne. Is that true?
Yes,
Okay,
like
because
two of
I'm
the guys with the worst
yeah.
reputations. Almighty.
Well,
And
so
I
no, go
had no
ahead.
idea they were cool with me. And then as you
Right.
get going and the stories come out and such, you
Yeah.
start hearing these things like, ooh, ooh. And it just seemingly gets worse and worse. Like, good God. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, when you got a
Oh,
whole Dark Side of the Ring episode about you, it's probably not the best thing.
yeah. So,
Yeah. But I mean, so in the Pacific Northwest, though, it was the one of those things where it was almost like generationally, there was like this one person that really was a giant star that came out of that area. Obviously, we had the Roddy Pipers, the Billy Jack Haynes, the Matt Bournes, yourself. We've got obviously Buddy Wayne, which I'd like to talk about it later. And then
yeah.
now we have, Darby Allin, Nick Wayne's on his way up. I mean, he's the youngest, I think, signed wrestler in history. Swerve Strickland from the same area, obviously Daniel Bryanson or Brian Danielson, whatever you want to call him. Uh,
you know,
but
there's,
how where did you first? What is your earliest memory of wrestling growing up in that area?
um, everybody watched Portland wrestling. Even if you
Right.
weren't a wrestling fan, you still watched it and you knew the names in the 70s and all that. So, and my dad's side of the family were huge wrestling fans. So I just started watching it every Saturday with my dad. My earliest memory, and I don't even know if they have this on tape or not, but gosh, I wish they would. I remember Buddy Rose teaming with um, Jesse Ventura,
Oh,
and they were the rule breakers. But I quietly thought that's so cool because Jesse would just stand there and pose and flex while Buddy was talking. Um, and I just thought that's cool. I want to have muscles like that. And then the one thing that really blew my mind and made me go, Dad, and I said, Dad, can we go and see this? Was Ventura turned on and turned good. He smacked Rose, and Rose went flying across the announcer table. And it blew my mind that he just smacked his friend.
right.
Oh, and so we went, and that was, I mean, man, that was it.
Oh yeah, that first time ever going to a live show, like that's the drug. You're chasing that one forever.
And it may have been earlier. I remember going to see Buddy Rose against Jesse Ventura in the sports
Hmm.
arena, and with my dad. And I remember also, and like I said, it's around that time, could have been before. I went to the Milwaukee Elks. They had wrestling there. I went with my grandfather and my dad. And at intermission, all the teenagers were in the ring with Tony Bourne,
Oh,
Matt Bourne's father.
yeah.
And I wanted to go up there, and I saw there was a ramp. Oh no, Tony, you can't go up there. And I'm like, oh, I want. And then we won the raffle and like some Play-Doh or something. So it's like my dad goes to fetch that, and I'm thinking to myself in my head, Pop can't catch me. And just quietly in my head, I went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and shot out of my cheese, Tony. And I just ran up into the ring, and just I'll never forget that. I don't know how old I was, but I remember that as clear as a bell.
Right.
So it's just when you get a little older, they start asking you what you want to do. What do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to do? Wrestle. It's
Yeah.
either wrestle for the world title or play drums and kiss. And that's it.
Do you still play drums? Or did you ever really start playing drums?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've played in
Oh,
a bunch of bands through the years. Nothing heavy duty, but
enough
just
to
playing shows around
yeah, enough
Portland.
to
And
scratch that itch.
yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, but that's all. It's always what I want to do.
So then well, when you first started training, obviously it's not, it's still very much a secret and they don't want people to be in the industry. How did you find out about, learning to train or where you can go to a school, or how did that whole
I
process happen?
I always looked into it, and especially in the wrestling magazines when they
Yeah.
started, the Hart School, which later you learned it wasn't. It was like Bruce Hart running it, or Bruce
Yeah.
Hart and some
Jericho's
friends
been,
running it,
yeah.
or whatever the heck. But I remember calling them, and then well, you come up here and this that, and it's like, ooh, I'm 18 years old, and my family's just a conservative family, and they put the fear of everything into you, right? And I'm a little guy, got no self esteem. I got very little self confidence. How
Yeah.
the hell am I going to go to Calgary? I look at the map. Wow, wow. And I called. I talked to Jesse Barr about training, and I had actually, it was what, 94. I was going to go to Jesse because it's so funny. Wrestlers, at least they used to give you a nice light handshake. It was a
Yeah.
signal of that's how I'll be light in the ring. So I go to meet Jesse Barr, and I'm just trying to be, man. I know I'm small, but damn it, I'm determined. I go to give him a nice handshake, and he gives me, and I thought, well, this fucking guy doesn't even take me seriously. This guy thinks I'm a joke. I'm gonna have to try so damn hard or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I think about that and laugh. But he's like, it's gonna be tough for you here, but you can make money in Mexico, and his eyes lit up. My brother
Mm.
makes all this money in Mexico, man. You could make millions down there at your size. And I thought again, I thought, oh my God, Mexico. I don't know anything. And I thought about it, and man, I tell you, it was at the same time uh, that Worlds Collide pay per view.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was it? IWC and AAA, that pay per view.
Yeah.
Because I had seen Art Barr in Portland. I remember getting pissed. Fuck, that guy sucks. He's in there because Sandy Barr. He went to Roosevelt High School. Fuck, hell, I kick his ass. You know. And I thought Art Barr's doing good, and then he's on the pay per view,
Yeah.
and I saw him and Eddie, and my mouth hit the fucking ground at how amazing he was. I couldn't believe, and I thought, shit, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Jesse. I can take a loan out. I got to keep it quiet from the family, but I've got good credit. I'll just take a loan out and I'll do this. A week later, what happens? Fucking hell, they find him dead.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad because I'm like, man, his eyes lit up talking about his brother, and I just never went back to talk to Jesse. I felt so bad. So, but you know, uh, I called all around for years, and then Billy Jack. Long story short, Billy Jack has a radio show going on in Portland, a wrestling radio show,
Oh,
and I called it, and I go, listen. And now by this time, now we've got cruiserweights in the states.
yeah.
So 94 when I'm talking to Jesse Barr, they didn't. So it's all scary. Like, man, they're not going to have me. They don't have any guys my size.
Right.
But I still wanted. I was dying to do it. Um, Now 95, 96. Well, shoot,
That's the whole,
Psychosis, Ray,
yep.
on and on it goes,
That's the whole first hour of Nitro. Yeah.
bro. And so I called Billy Jack his radio show, and so I kind of plead my case. He's like, "I'm gonna put you on hold and get your number." And he's like, "Man, I'll work with you." So
That's awesome.
and so he did, and I got lucky too because Billy didn't have any connections, and he burned a lot of bridges,
Right.
burned, and I had no. How am I supposed to know? We didn't even have the damn internet.
Right.
So, but he worked with me, and then Jesus Christmas, dude, the craziest stories, and he goes on his radio show one time, and I don't know if he got mad at Sandy Barr or what, but I was I ended up he's training me and I'm helping him with this radio show. So I'm like his little co-host now.
Right.
Uh and I go in one week and he goes, "Hey brother, I just want you to sit this one out. I'll explain it later." And he proceeds to go on the air and expose the entire industry. Oh, and by this time I had just started training with Matt Bourne too.
Oh, okay. I was going to wonder how
Because I
you
had
made that transition.
that, yeah, I had my roommate's girlfriend was friends with Bart Sawyer